Well, hello there everyone. Wanted to start off this video looking at this view of the hill. Some rain coming in, which is good. Sure need that. Nice breeze blowing, birds are singing, flowers blooming. It's a pretty day. Well, we're up here at the farm, and I've been saying I'm gonna do a video tour of the ceiling fans in the farmhouse, since they've all changed since the last video tour, of course. I was waiting till I had some fine-tuning adjustments made before I did so, but I think we're done enough at this point that I can go ahead and make my video. So, I'll go ahead and apologize in advance. This is going to be probably a very long and rambling video, but I digress. I'd like to start off with a little bit of backstory before we go any further. This beautiful old house you're looking at here, this is my family's ancestral home, built in 1856 and was passed down through the family over the years, ultimately to my grandparents, who bought it in 2006. And by that point, it was pretty much one stiff breeze away from collapsing. And they began a restoration project of their own, but it never really gained any kind of appreciable traction. They finally did have it done about 2018, 2019. And unfortunately, before the house was done, my grandmother passed away. Well, she and I had talked about getting some vintage or even antique fans and fixtures and redoing them for this place. We had a couple of light fixtures set aside, but we didn't get very far with that. And of course, then she passed, and by the time the house was done, we were just kind of ready to be done working on it for a while. So we got whatever was cheap, and that wasn't a very good idea. Give it a few years down the road, things start to need repair. So about a year ago, I asked my granddad if he remembered me and my grandmother talking about doing this, and he did. And I asked him if we could still do that, and he gave me the green light. So I've had a lot of fun working on this, but I guess without further ado, we'll go ahead and go inside and take a look around, and I'll show you. We'll go through and demonstrate the fans that are here now, and I'll also tell you the history as I know it of the spots that were there, what used to be in their places, both before and after the remodel. We'll go up the front steps here, and it's starting to rain. We knew that was going to happen. There is one thing I would like to do, I haven't done yet, and I don't know that I will. It would be nice to have some fans out here on this front porch, because, you know, we do have chairs, and there are more. And we do like to sit out here. The wind does usually come straight up through here, so, you know, it wouldn't be too I'm not sure it really would matter. Plus, you'll note that there are no boxes in the ceiling, although there had to be at one time, because this porch used to be windowed in, and there were lights. Of course, it had a flat drop ceiling, but there were lights. And if you look, yeah, over here you can kind of see where a box was. And for all I know, there could still be one up there. Let's see if I can find. Oh yeah, there was another one. Looks like. Is there one down here? Yep. But who knows if they're still up there. This is solid wood, so. But you could do something like there's plugs. There's a plug there. There's one on the other end. So in theory, at least, you could do something with that. But I don't know. We'll see. And of course, other thing to mention as well. This house is, like I said, built in 1856, long before the days of air conditioning. So every room that has an exterior wall has a door. Used to be screen doors. I'm trying to convince Granddad to put the screen doors back on, but have not been totally successful with that yet, as you can see. Oh. but I would like to have the screen doors back. Anyway, let's go inside. And go into the front room here. Lock this up again. A couple things to mention in here. Wrong switch. There we go. One, this beautiful clock which was given to us. This here is the only fixture that my grandmother and I had set aside specifically for this purpose. It's an old, I believe it's from the 1930s or so, pan light. It was originally brass. It had been painted, you know, like a cream white or something. And she had it redone in this kind of coppery color. And I knew she wanted it here. And so my granddad and I rewired it. This was actually one of the very few places that there was a ceiling fan prior to the remodel. There was a white and brass SMC UF42 in here. And I remember that because at the time, my grandparents slept in that room right there. And my cousin and I, when we'd come up with them, they would set a mattress right here where this rug is, and we would sleep under the fan. And I recall that because then, of course, I would want the fan on and my cousin would want it off. So then he would wait for me to fall asleep and get up and turn it off, which would then wake me up. So then it would, you know, the cycle would repeat. Still have that UF42, and you'll probably see it in just a little bit. So, come into the downstairs bedroom, where once there was a shitty Hunter Hugger. There is now this. This is a 1983 Hunter original. Robinson Myers, of course, with reverse air. I got this one off of Derek, who bought it off of Facebook Marketplace, I believe in Austin. Got the original sales paperwork with it, which I'll show you in a little bit because I have it here. And this was a 2-speed fan, of course. Derek converted it to have a 3rd speed, which I have since done with some of the other ones around here. And before the remodel, there was just a porcelain encased lamp socket in here with just a bare light bulb sticking out of it. That's all they had. I'll go ahead and turn the lights on here. These are 60-watt bulbs that are in it. One thing I do still need to do is possibly touch up the ceiling where the hugger was, and of course where my fingers have been up there working. So at some point I'll do that. I got a little bit decorative with some of these pull chains. This was a dairy farm for many, many years, so the cow seemed appropriate. This is a selectable light kit. It's funny, the day I put this up, Granddad was here with me, and I was showing him all the features that it had, and I told him to set it however he wanted it. And I came back about 20 minutes later, and he had just the center light illuminated, the fan on low speed. So there you go. But we'll go ahead and turn it on low speed here. This is using a 10 microfarad capacitor. The clocks say hi. I should not be this tired. But in my defense, it is a long trip. Go to medium, which is the factory low. And kick it up on high. And I think because I have the place to myself for a couple days until everybody else shows up, that I will just leave it on high. Let the air circulate. All right, we'll come into this living room on the other side. And this is another original that I got from Derek. This one's a 1981 model. Brown and antique brass, which he also got off of Facebook Marketplace. Except I believe this one began life in South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. And this light kit with the blue floral glass was something that my grandmother had selected. She liked anything blue and pretty and flowery and anything like that, so I knew if it was going here, it was going to have her light kit on it. Prior to the remodel, this is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in this place. There was you know those pillow lights that have like the square glass shade with the 2 or 3 light bulbs above it? There was one of those here, except it didn't have the shade, so it was just the 2 or 3 bulbs. I think it was 3 bulbs. And they didn't have a mounting bracket for it, so it was just secured to the ceiling with duct tape. I wish I was making that up. Nothing but the best around this place. But we'll go ahead and turn the lights on here. And these have 3-way switching for the lights. And we did put the lights on a dimmer. That looks kind of cool on camera to have it glowing just like that. That's kind of nice to have because we have the fireplace and that sort of thing. But we'll go ahead and do the same demonstration here. This one I converted. All the rest of them I did. The only exception is that one. Derek converted that one before I had it. And I wasn't going to bother with that, but Granddad was complaining about he couldn't get it slow enough for his liking. He likes it like this, so I was like, well, it's his house. I guess I should fix that. So it wasn't that hard of a job. It's just 10 microfarad capacitor, and you just have to make sure you have the right kind of pull switch, because if you energize both coils at the same time, you are going to be in a world of hurt. And you will probably wind up smoking your motor. Don't ask how I know that. So. It's just a light kit buzzing. These things are horrible about that, because the motors are so beefy that if there's anything loose, you're going to hear it. But yeah, Derek also got this one from the original owners, and I have all the paperwork for it, which, like I say, I will show you. It's pretty cool. I actually showed it to Granddad. He thought it was neat too. I wasn't sure he would care. They are, as you would expect from Hunter Originals. I think I'm gonna let that one run too. I think I'm also gonna turn a couple of lamps on because it's getting dark outside on account of the storms. Luckily, we have plenty of table lamps around this place that were inherited from various people over the years. That's good enough. Okay, now in the great room, because as I mentioned, we wanted to do antiques. Of course, didn't get very far with that, so most of these spots I just went with whatever was ready to go, aka these originals. But in the great room, I did decide to do something a little bit special. So what we have here is a pair of Emerson Longnoses. Now, before we get into too much of that, let's talk about what this used to look like, because this is where the biggest changes happened during the remodel. You notice those beams there, this was 2 rooms. Hence the 2 doors. There was an SMC Emperor here on like a 3-foot down rod, where this long nose is, and there was another one in the other room that was somewhere in here, basically centered in this other room. There was nothing here, and of course all the recess, those are actually just LED puck lights, but of course they weren't there either. And I took that wall out because that was the only way to get this giant dining room table in here. And course, they moved the fan over here, and we redid the kitchen and all that. Well, then we put up those 2018 Hunt Originals, which actually were pretty good. But I figured if I was going to do something that was going to have to be in here, so. But you'll notice I did use the mounting hardware off of the Originals. I don't know why that one's separated, but I have not been able to get it to stay together, so it's just the way it is. The U-bolts are up there, and they're secured directly to a stud by, big ass lag bolts, so they ain't going nowhere. So then about the fans themselves, this one I bought as a bare motor. I think I paid 20 bucks for it maybe. It, at the time, looked like it came off the bottom of the Titanic. It was just a solid piece of rust. But then I found these blades, which I believe are actually fern leaf blades. They're 60-inch in span. They're a little bit bigger, and they have copper oxide blade irons. Found them at an antique store in Galveston. And I ended up having Derek redo this motor for me a couple of years ago, which he really, as always, his restorations are basically museum quality. So I was pretty happy to have him do that for me. This one over here, I bought off of Stan Adams at the Lake Houston Regional Fan Meet, which he hosts. He'd had it sitting out on a shelf trying to sell it, and nobody had really given it a second glance, so I finally took pity on it. It was still sitting there when I was ready to go home, so I went and grabbed it. And then I had the thought, that probably looked good up here, so I'm glad that I did grab it. It's a hotel model, so it has the light kit and a 3-speed snap switch on top, which isn't too effective. But then, of course, it was mechanically ready to go, except I repainted it, stained the blades, and I ended up putting a new bearing in it because I didn't do that at first, and I got it up here and the old bearing clunked. So I was like, all right, didn't want to have that, so new bearing. And then this one has, the speed coil got yoinked on this one, so there's just a on-off snap switch in there. But then that leaves the question of how do you slow them down? Because you can't slow this one down because of the no speed coil, and speed coil is not really that effective in that one. And so that's where these come in. I went ahead and got these variable speed wall controls. They're solid state, of course. They're rated for 5 amps. And they have low speed trims, but I didn't actually have to adjust them, which was nice because I really thought I would. This one went off without a hitch. This other one required some ingenuity because let me show you something. This one was kind of a pain in the ass to get the switch in for. You'll see how they have the dual switching here for this room, fan and light. And of course, obviously that's the control for that. Well, they had the same thing going on here. They had switch here for light, switch here for fan. Well, the problem is the lights are 3-way. So like if I turn this light on here, I can also turn it off from here where the dimmer is, or I can turn it off from over here, that one. So, but the fan switch is not 3-way. There's only one switch to turn the fan on. Well, it was the same with this one. There was only one switch to turn the fan on. It was here, which I don't really know why they did that because they have dual switching next to that door for the other one. Why didn't they do the same here? Because this light switch just turns on the porch lights. So why didn't they put another double box here and have fan and light? I don't know. It's an old house. Nothing is ever easy. And so what I did is I just hooked this to the wiring for the fan, completely bypassed the 3-way for the light. And then I went ahead and I put the lights here on the other switch at the bottom of the 3-way, which is here at the bottom of the stairs. So you still have lights that way. And I figure, it is what it is. And these fans probably aren't going to run a whole lot, so I wasn't too concerned about having to walk into the next room to turn the fan on. But anyway, I digress. Let's go ahead and get it started here. I'm going to turn it all the way down low just to see if it'll start by itself. It should. Oh yeah, it's going to. This one may yet get replaced. This is the only thing I'm not real satisfied with. It looks great, but it's got a, well, you can probably hear. And that's not a bearing issue as I thought it was. And nothing's loose that I've been able to find, but it has a lot of vibration. And I suspect that it probably has a rogue coil, and well, I'm not fixing that, so it's fine. But if I could find another hotel model like that and redo it, I'd probably swap this one out. Just the question is, where do you find another hotel long nose? Because they're not any easier to find. There was one on Marketplace, but it was like 300 miles from here or something like that, and they wanted $250 for it, which, you know, and it needed one of everything. But it might still be there. If it sits there long enough, I might just go get it. There's your low speed. That's the factory adjustment. Did not adjust the trim pots at all. We'll go up to about medium here. Yeah, see what I mean? Luckily that one's quiet. Put it up on high. It sure does haul though with the wider blades. I think some of that is also the switch buzzing, but not much of it. Because I did check that. That one back down to low. Where it's quiet. Or, well, quieter. It's getting worse. It didn't used to be that bad. Anyway, I'll do the same with this one. See if it'll start from low. Oh yeah. Okay, that's it. Yeah, see why I might replace that? Shut up. Well, maybe some of it is bearing. Hard to tell. Anyway. Again, didn't have to adjust the trim pot, which was nice. Because I really was prepared to do that. Go like medium here. And let's crack it wide open. Ouch. That hurt. All right. One thing I have thought about doing, I have not done, but I might at some point. It would kind of be nice to have a fan in here. This was a porch at one time. Now it's like a laundry utility room kind of thing. And there are these lights here that we've put up. These are actually not nearly as old as they look. They're reproductions, but it would be nice to have a fan. The problem is you got a cabinet right there, and cabinets on either side of those. So you probably want it to be here. This would probably be the easiest, but then it would be nowhere near the washer and dryer, which is over there. So I don't know. If I did that, it would be another antique. I have an old Hunter type 1032 that would go here, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. Turn on the stupid slide just because I can. Okay, let's go upstairs. That's another fixture that we redid because it just looks better. So All right. So, in the upstairs central room here, where there was not a fan previously, there is this 1983 Hunter 36-inch original. In the previous iteration of the house, the bathroom was actually over here, and the central room was over there. They kind of switched places, but there were more of those porcelain lamp sockets. So, because there was not a fan here previously, there is no separate switching. I just left a note for anyone who wanted to turn it on. And of course, I put a 3-speed conversion in this too. These use a 7.5 microfarad capacitor to accomplish basically the same thing. It's nice to have because when you get here in the summer, it's hot up here and the AC takes a while to catch up. So having the little fan here to turn on is pretty convenient. It's a pretty slow low speed, really. So that's the factory low. It's loose, that right there, that's what's loose. Oh, and of course there's a light at the top of the stairs too, which is on the same switch as that, except it's a pull chain light, so that you could turn the lights off and still have the fan on. So in this bedroom, we have a 1980 Hunter original that I got out of a house in Houston along with another one, which as you might expect is in the other room. This was the only other place in the house that there was a fan prior to the remodel. This was the 1989 polished brass CEC Newport that was the same one that was in the garage for a while. Before it was in the garage, it was here. And those were the only 4 in the house. Just that and the 3 SMCs. But now these are here. And it's got a, I did the 3-speed conversion on these too. Not that it was strictly necessary, but especially with these, because Granddad was the main one who was complaining about the not being slow enough, and he's not going to come up those stairs, but I figured if I was doing all the rest of them, I might as well finish the job. May as well have them be uniform. And I guess it's also possible that sometimes there might be people here that don't want the fan going like that. Of course, you know, as you've seen, if I'm here, they're on high. Gosh, it's a little warm in here. Thermostat claims it's 68, but it does not feel 68 to me. Of course, I also just came from the cabin where the AC is kept at like 61, so it's not really a fair comparison. And of course, we'll go look at the other one. There was just another porcelain lamp socket in here prior to the renovation too. And then, of course, the Ambrose hookers. And now this. See if this one will start from low. This one has a really stiff bearing. Once it gets going, it goes fine, but it tends to have trouble. It's got plenty of oil, it's just, this one has a pretty worn thrust bearing. Probably ought to replace it at some point, but So far, I haven't been able to be bothered. So there you go. Whoa. There we go. Runs pretty good once it gets going. Now, because Granddad is Granddad and won't throw shit away even when it needs to be thrown away, if we go up to the 3rd story attic here, at the top of the world's steepest stairs, I really don't want to do this. But in the interest of completeness, since there are technically more fans up here, just none that are installed. Luckily this attic is decked. They're the originals that were in the great room, plus the blades and the globes. Just sans the mounting hardware, because again we used it for the long noses. And that's the light that was in the stairs. And that's the puck light that was at the top of the stairs. I don't know if I really want to climb my ass all the way over there, but back there are the 4 Ambroses, as well as the puck light that was in the central room where the 36-inch original is now. That's classy. I don't know if that's live or not. I'm hoping not. You know what? We'll walk over there and take a closer look just because we can. Uh-oh. Did the AC tech leave his tools? Looks that way. Yeah, no, never mind, because I can't stand. I have to duck, and that hurts. So, but they're all over there, because, you know, Granddad is Granddad. I hate these damn stairs so much. Okay, let's go outside and look at a few things out there. Also see if my wasps that I sprayed earlier have died. They should have, because I sprayed the shit out of them. Ah, feels nice and cool down here. Ow. So, I would like to put another fan out here. Maybe even 2. Probably just 1. And again, there's a plug, so it's definitely doable. Just a question of whether or not we, do it. So these are 2 1983 Hunt Originals that are out here, 36-inch, where the Rainsfords were. Put a 3rd speed on these as well, at Granddad's request, because he likes to leave these on low even when no one's here, so that the birds won't build nests on them, or, See, my wasp's dead. Looks like it. All that one's kind of hanging on, but that's okay. Let's turn the lights on here. There we go. And we'll demonstrate these as well. There were no fans prior to the remodel, just fluorescent strip lights. Yeah, we leave these on low even when no one's here, but I'm trying to decide if I want to have them on medium or high while I am here. I don't know yet. We'll see. I may let them go on high. Get that oil nice and hot so it'll evaporate, and then I'll have to get up there and oil them again. Yeah, he wasn't here when I did the swap, but my uncle brought him up last week because he was mowing, and so I called him and I said, did you take a look at your new low speed on your Porch fans, and he goes, yes, much better. So that's good. At least I'm officially done working on these. Might want to go away, bug, because otherwise you're going to get swatted by a ceiling fan. I'm actually impressed with the low speed added. These, again, 7.5 microfarad capacitors on the 36-inch ones, 10 microfarad for the 52s. Oh, there's something. As long as I don't get stung by a wasp for the second time today, that would be good. Which just dawns on me, I've been trying to figure out for the last 2 hours why my shoulder is killing me. That's probably why, because that's where I got stung. There we go. Yeah, I think I'm gonna let them go on high. Interesting that this one's running rings around that one right now. That one might need a drink. All right, in the garage, where all the fans now match, we have all of the 1980 brown and brass originals. There we go. Make it so we can actually see. These will be easy because they're just 2-speed. I thought about converting these two, but really, at the end of the day, when would they ever get used on low speed? These are pretty much always on high if anyone's ever here. So, not that it would matter much. Oh, I just realized, I forgot to mention all of these 36-inch originals, including the one that is upstairs, came out of the same estate sale haul where I got, I think, yeah, there were 7 or, yeah, no, there were 8 36-inch originals, 5 brown and brass, 3 flat brown. There was 1 brown and bright brass 52-inch original. There were 2 flat brown 52-inch originals. Then there were 2 36-inch antique Westinghouses and a long nose and a round nose. And I got all of those, and I got all of that stuff for $100. Which was pretty cool. That's the light kit this one came with. I'm not sold on it, so it may yet go away. Ow, there's a gas can there. Technically that's a diesel can, but you know. Okay, this one has some loose shit, so I'm gonna have to fix that. And well, I don't want to keep track of all the crap that was in here over the last few years, but before I started putting fans in here, there were just more of those porcelain lamp sockets. This one has a Leviton switch, and I think I have it set so that it will come on a low speed. Yes. Oh, there you are. I've been hearing something buzzing in here, and I was trying to figure out where it is. It's on the garage door. But out of sight, out of mind. I don't really care right now. Yeah, we take no mercy on these fans. Except I do get up there and oil them. That's about it. I don't want them running because it's hot. And then, as if we didn't have enough fans, a fourth of those brown and brass ones from the same estate hall wound up out here where the tractors park. Can't remember if I showed this to y'all or not when I did it. It's on a swag kit that runs across, and there's a plug down over there that it plugs into. And of course they've tied the light chain way up here, so I'm gonna have to climb up on the old Ford to turn the light on. Ooh, thunder. That's nice. Yeah, it has brown blade irons on it. This one didn't come with blades. And I figured it was outside, so who cares? Damn. Some nice rolling thunder. I believe that means it's nap time. Yes. This is another one of those things that was really unnecessary, but I'm glad I did it. Yeah, it hums quite badly. Let's leave it on low. Actually, I need to get up there and turn the light back off so that it won't attract moths or God knows what else. I don't leave this one on when I'm not here, but since I'm going to be here for several days, let's let it go. And that actually does not complete the tour, because I mentioned that you would see the original house fans later in this video. And although the barn over here does not have any electric, never has, and at the rate we're going, it never will. But just for shits and grins, I did hang the original fans up, and they are in here because I have quite a bit of things stored here, and so I've got various fans hanging throughout the barn now because it seemed like the easiest thing to do. But here in this small room, which is not accessible to the rest of the barn for reasons I still don't understand, is the UF42. Now, the spider wasted no time dragging that pull chain out, building webs in here. That's fine. This is the one that was in the front bedroom, or not front bedroom, in the front hallway, and it's pretty much exactly the same setup as it was, including the same pull chains and same. I don't actually have the original globe for this one because it broke, but it was a very similar one. But there's that. I just have to get out of here. I don't know why there's no interior door into that room. I really don't. But there never has been. We'll just go in through the window that doesn't exist. There's the Rainsfords, other various crap that I have sitting around. There's the CEC that was first in the upstairs bedroom and then in the garage. Now it's out here. This is the part where I'm gonna die, is going up these stairs right here, because this barn is really not in very good shape. But up here, whew, the whole floor just shifted when I stepped on it, are the two Emperors. That's the one that was where the long nose is now, and that's the one that was over on the kitchen side. And again, same basic setup, pull chains, everything that they had. Be nice if they were powered, but maybe one day. It was funny because my grandmother could not understand why I wanted these. She was happy to give them to me, of course, but she thought they were hideous. She couldn't understand why I wanted them. But I digress. And because I can, I'll show you the other ones that are hanging in. Woo, there goes that wasp. That are hanging in the big room downstairs. Although again, none of them are powered. But we have a universal hugger here. Also union, I've heard both. We have one Evergo GE Vent 5-blade. We have another one over here. We have an Evergo Roma, which was their answer to the Emperor, here. We have an Emerson Northwind vintage spinner, which came out of another house on the property, which has since burned down. It unfortunately had a whole bunch of other ones of these in it when it burned, but now this is the last one. We have an Evergo banana fan, also I believe called a Saratoga or something like that, but it's banana fan. And we have a Fasco parlor fan with a really strange and slightly hideous light, because that's what it came with when I got it. But that's it. That's all the fans that are in the house and barn, even though the barn ones aren't powered. I think the fire victims are actually in here somewhere. Let me see. Yeah. There's the fire victims. This one remaining spinner, 2 Northwind GE vents that were in a dual install, and then a couple of huggers, which I swiped purely because I'm probably going to mount them from those fence posts or something over there, because that would be hilarious. But they're probably not going to run again. Meanwhile, the storm is rolling in, which I think means it's time to take a nap, because there's really not much we can do out here once it starts raining. But, oh, and I need to find the paperwork for those original hunters inside, which I will look for, and I will throw that in a postscript. So I guess we'll be back in a little bit with that paperwork, and we will close out the video from there. But there you go. The new and old Farmhouse fans. Alright, as previously threatened, I have gone ahead and dug up the paperwork that goes with the 2 originals that are downstairs. And there's quite a few interesting things in here, so we'll go ahead and start with this one. This bag is for the 1981 brown and antique brass one that's in the den. And we'll take a look in here. Let me get a little more light on the situation. Evidently the tension pole's not going to be quite enough here. Okay. So we have here the instruction manual here. You can pause the video and read all of this if you want to. Hopefully you will actually be able to see it. I guess that's all there is to it. I thought it was thicker than that. We have the original sales receipt from Dixie Electronics in Greenville, North Carolina. No, Greenville, South Carolina. I'm sorry. On September 11th of 1981, when they paid $244.01. It's a nice round number there. I like that. That's funny. And we have a checklist of things that you're supposed to go over before you run the fan. We have Instructions for a wall mount speed control, which I did not get, and I don't think Derek did either. But maybe they wouldn't pay attention to what I was looking at. Maybe they used the wall control on it. It's hard to tell. We also have instructions for a light kit installation, if it had one, with what I assume is oil all over it. We have the manual for the Sears light kit that they bought with it, which unfortunately I did not get, and neither did Derek, but it would have been really cool if it still had that, although I do love the kit that's on it now. And then we get to the really cool stuff. It came with a Sears Roebuck brochure. Because I guess they bought the light from Sears. It's like a couple of old plastic case Emersons, some friction drives. And I've always seen those, but I don't know what they are. I've always heard Marley as a brand of those, but I'm not sure. And light kit options. I'm slowly working on collecting these globes. I have a few of those. I have one of those. I have one of those. I want to find one of those. I could take or leave the Capiche shell, but the pizza shades are cool. And finally, to go with this one, this is possibly the coolest thing of the bunch. A Hunter, Robbins, and Myers catalog. Let's see if I can get this opened up here with one hand. Because you know, I don't have the luxury of using both my hands to do this while running the camera. There we go. You can see all the different finish combinations they offered, both in 52 and 36-inch sizes at that time. And I appreciate that they did the math. You see how they chose what was going to be the best fan for their room. Looks like they were debating between flat antique brass or brown antique brass. Maybe they bought one of each, I don't know. Also working on collecting all of these. Although I guess really if you count 36 inches too, I think I have them all. I'm trying to see if there's anything I don't. I was gonna say black and antique brass because I don't have that, but I don't actually see that on this, so it may not have existed at the time. I know they did make that, but I think that's the one I don't have. And on the back, you've got blade options, light kit options, and of course, dress-up kits and swag kits. So that's pretty cool. And then, because we have it, we might as well look at it. So I get this folded back up. There we go. Just set this aside. I'll box it back up later. We have another bag, which is the stuff for the 83, which is in the bedroom downstairs. So there's the owner's manual. Ow, there's a sticker burr or something in this rug. That's clever. Oh, I found it. Okay. We have the receipt from Texas Ceiling Fans in Austin, where they bought it. This one cost a pretty penny. It had to be close to $1,000 in 1983. I think I looked up the math for $244 in 1981. It was like $800 or something like that. So yeah, I'm definitely glad I got these all secondhand. Here's some more instructions. This is for the isolation ring, because I think 83 is the first year that isolation rings were standard equipment. I could be wrong about that. We have another one here for the reverse air blades. Fan living. I guess it was in somebody's living room. Release, recoil, repent. There we go. Same exact instructions for the light kits that the other one has. And finally, if I can get it out of here, an owner's registration card, which unfortunately nobody ever bothered to fill out, which means that fine, upstanding people such as myself can't be good and nosy, because it kind of would have been cool to know. But not on this one. But there you go. That's all the documentation I have for these. At least for the two downstairs. I think that wraps up what is, I'm sure, a long and rambling video. I did want to point out that since a couple of days has elapsed, because it took me a little bit to remember where I put this stuff, that there's now a tension pole lamp in here. Because why not? It's so ugly, it's cool. But you know, a lot of the other lamps and stuff in this house are floral, so it actually kind of makes sense. But I think that is it. I think that's all I have. And I hope that you have managed to stick with me through this long and rambling video. And I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll catch you next time.